as they grow up, most kids, at least the ones fortunate enough to be raised in stable homes, are taught from the time they are toddlers about the importance of being nice to others. The problem is that when children turn into teenagers and then adults, if there is no greater reason to be kind than because their parents say so, then many will choose to abandon it in favor of blind self-interest. And so, faced with today's constantly shifting moral landscape, I decided to put together a short video detailing some of the rational reasons to behave with kindness in your everyday life. In our most rudimentary form, human beings have the capacity to be incredibly selfish, which, from a biological standpoint, makes sense, because our most powerful and compelling biological drive is the one that propels us to do whatever we can to survive, and in order to achieve that goal, many humans are willing to sacrifice just about anything. Then, as our societies evolved and became more complex, people began to be driven by a lust for power and the will to dominate others. If you are only thinking about life in the short term, then I don't think anyone can deny how good it feels to be able to use brute force to make others do what you want them to do. However, the fatal flaw in that plan is that human beings are essentially a social species, and no one, not even the most powerful dictator, can maintain their strength forever. In fact, if you examine the history of the world's most brutal and infamous dictators, you will find that regardless of where in the world they came from, they all seem to follow a similar pattern. Generally speaking, it goes like this. A dictator will rise to power through the use of military force or political manipulation, and for a time, whether that is a few years or even a few decades, they will hold the top spot, and those under their rule will behave as they are told to. Eventually, though, and almost without fail, dictators are always overthrown. And when this happens, their lives usually end in violence. This is because most people, even those without wealth or social power, don't react particularly well to the idea of their freedom being taken from them. So when they see and feel someone doing that, there's only so much they will allow before a violent reaction is the result. Now, although I've used national dictators as my example, make no mistake, many of the same rules also apply on a person-to-person level. If you have a friend and your relationship consists of you constantly forcing them to do what you want, chances are that unless they are mentally ill in some way, they won't be your friend for very long. The same goes for romantic partnerships. Note that I use the word partnership. That's very important. All parties involved must feel valued and listened to, otherwise staying together is basically like locking yourself in your own personal hell. Even in the corporate world, the most successful business people are generally those with the ability to balance decisive leadership with the notion that their employees are people and not simply cogs in a giant machine. So, what's my point with all this? I guess what I'm trying to say is that if you want to go through life being selfish and only looking out for number one, you are free to do that. But all you'll have at the end of it is loneliness and regret. It is a far better choice to be kind and leave behind something that matters to the people around you. If you enjoy my content and would like to support me, then please consider becoming a monthly patron of mine via Patreon. I also gladly accept any and all once-off contributions via PayPal. For now, farewell.